In the heart of Cairo's Egyptian Museum sits one of the most famous artifacts ever discovered, a golden face that has stared silently at humanity for over 3,000 years. The golden mask of Tutankhamun is more than a beautiful object. It is a symbol of ancient Egypt itself, mysterious, powerful, and full of secrets that scientists are still uncovering today. For decades, historians believe they understood everything about this legendary artifact. But modern technology has revealed something unexpected. The mask may not have originally belonged to Tutankhamun at all. To understand how this incredible mystery began, we must travel back more than a century. In November of 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter made one of the greatest discoveries in the history of archaeology. After years of searching through the harsh desert landscape of Egypt's Valley of the Kings, Carter finally uncovered a stone staircase hidden beneath the sand. The staircase led down to a sealed doorway covered with ancient royal seals. Carter knew immediately that he might be standing at the entrance of a royal tomb that had remained untouched for thousands of years. When the doorway was finally opened, Carter peered inside using the light of a small candle. What he saw would change history forever. The chamber glittered with gold. Statues, jewelry, chariots, weapons, and royal furniture filled the small space. But the greatest discovery was still hidden deeper inside the tomb. At the center of the burial chamber stood a series of nested coffins made of solid gold. Inside them rested the mummy of a young king. His name was Tutankhamun, and covering his face was the object that would become the most famous archaeological treasure in the world, the golden funerary mask. The mask was crafted from more than 10 kilograms of gold and decorated with precious stones, colored glass, and intricate engravings. It was designed to represent the divine face of the pharaoh in the afterlife. But removing the mask from the mummy was not easy. Over the centuries, ancient oils and resins used during the burial ritual had hardened like stone, binding the mask tightly to the body. Carter and his team had to work carefully to separate the artifact without damaging it. When they finally lifted the mask away, the world was stunned by its beauty. The face was calm, symmetrical, and almost lifelike. Blue stripes decorated the royal headdress, while symbols of protection, the cobra and the vulture, sat proudly on the forehead. For decades, the mask was believed to be a perfect masterpiece created specifically for the young king. But even in those early days, some researchers noticed strange details. The gold color of the face looked slightly different from the gold on the back of the mask. The craftsmanship also seemed inconsistent in certain places. Howard Carter himself wrote in his notes that the mask appeared to have been assembled from separate pieces. At the time, however, archaeologists had no way to prove such theories. They simply lacked the technology needed to see inside the artifact. That situation changed dramatically in recent years when scientists began studying the mask using advanced X-ray scanning technology. This powerful equipment allows researchers to look through solid objects without damaging them. The golden mask was carefully transported from its display case to a specialized laboratory. Every step of the process required extreme caution. Although gold is durable, the ancient joins and decorations could easily be damaged if the mask were handled improperly. Once the scanning began, scientists started receiving the first internal images of the artifact. What they saw was completely unexpected. The mask was not made from a single piece of gold. Instead, it was constructed from multiple parts that had been carefully joined together. Even more surprising was the discovery that different sections of the mask were made from different types of gold. The face itself was made from extremely pure gold with almost no impurities. But the headdress was created from a slightly different alloy. This difference suggested that the parts might have been produced at different times. The scans also revealed hidden seams beneath the polished surface. Ancient craftsmen had worked carefully to hide these joins, making the mask appear perfectly smooth to the human eye. But the X-ray images exposed tiny rivets and soldering marks connecting the different pieces together. These discoveries raised an important question. Why would such a sacred object be assembled from separate parts? Another surprising detail appeared when scientists examined the famous ceremonial beard attached to the mask. The scans showed that the beard had been added later. A hole had been drilled into the chin to attach the decoration. This suggested that the mask may not have originally included the beard at all. In ancient Egyptian art, the false beard was a powerful symbol of divine kingship. Adding it later could indicate that the mask was modified to represent a male ruler. Another fascinating clue involved the ears of the mask. They contained holes designed for earrings. In ancient Egypt, earrings were usually worn by children and women. Adult male pharaohs rarely had pierced ears. Even more strangely, the mummy of Tutankhamun himself showed no evidence of pierced ears. This contradiction puzzled researchers for decades. But the scanning technology revealed something new. The ear holes had been intentionally covered with thin gold plates. This suggested that someone had attempted to hide them, perhaps because the mask had originally been made for someone else, possibly a royal woman. The most dramatic discovery came when scientists examined the hieroglyph inscriptions on the back of the mask. These inscriptions include sacred texts and the royal name of Tutankhamun. However, beneath the visible engravings, the scans revealed faint traces of older writing. The original name had been erased. Then the name of Tutankhamun was carved on top. By studying the shapes of the hidden symbols, researchers were able to reconstruct the erased name. It appeared to read Neferneferutin. This mysterious name is associated with a ruler who briefly governed Egypt after the death of Pharaoh Akhenaten. Some historians believe that this ruler may actually have been Queen Nefertiti. If this theory is correct, it would mean that the golden mask originally belonged to one of the most powerful women in ancient Egyptian history. When Tutankhamun died unexpectedly at the age of 19, the royal court may not have had enough time to create a new mask. Instead, craftsmen may have taken an existing mask and modified it. They replaced the original face with a new portrait of the young king. They added the ceremonial beard. They erased the previous name and engraved Tutankhamun's titles. All of this may have been completed within only a few weeks before the royal burial ceremony. The result was the magnificent artifact we see today. But beneath its golden surface lies a story of political change, royal secrets, and ancient improvisation. The golden mask of Tutankhamun is no longer simply a symbol of ancient wealth. It is a historical puzzle, a masterpiece that has been reshaped by time, technology, and the hidden struggles of an ancient civilization. Even after 3,000 years, the mask continues to reveal new secrets. And perhaps the greatest mystery of all is this: how many other ancient treasures still hold stories waiting to be discovered? Beyond the scientific discoveries, the golden mask of Tutankhamun represents something even more powerful: the incredible skill of ancient Egyptian craftsmen. More than 3,000 years ago, artisans were able to shape gold with astonishing precision using only simple tools made of stone and copper. They hammered thin sheets of gold, polished them by hand, and carefully joined pieces together without modern machines. The level of detail seen in the mask is remarkable. The eyebrows and cosmetic lines are made from deep blue glass and lapis lazuli, carefully shaped to imitate the appearance of natural stone. The eyes are constructed from quartz and obsidian, giving the mask its lifelike and almost haunting expression. Every decorative element had symbolic meaning. The cobra on the forehead represented the goddess Wadjet, protector of Lower Egypt. The vulture beside it symbolized Nekhbet, guardian of Upper Egypt. Together, they represented the unity of the Egyptian kingdom and the divine protection of the pharaoh. Even the gold itself carried spiritual significance. In ancient Egyptian belief, gold was considered the flesh of the gods. Because it never tarnished or decayed, it symbolized eternity and immortality. For the Egyptians, the mask was not just decoration. It was believed to transform the king into a divine being in the afterlife. allowing him to join the gods and rule